evening and welcome along to another episode of the Blues Brothers podcast, the Alternative Rangers podcast. The machines rose from the ashes of the nuclear fire. Their war to exterminate mankind had raged for decades, but the final battle would not be fought in the future. It would be fought here, in our present tonight. Now that is the opening text from the film Terminator, and judging by Sunday, it clearly inspired an enigmatic Portuguese striker. Yes, he was back and with a bang as the Cherminated completed his trilogy, making it tough for the Hearts keeper to swallow. A gap that once stood at -14 is now just 2. With 11 games to go, the fate is in our hands, and once this machine gets moving, it doesn't stop until the mission is complete. Roll on Sunday. Joining me to discuss all that and more, my two good mates. First of all, Ross Clark. Ross, how are we, mate?
I'm sick, mate. I'm a sick boy, but I'm here. I couldn't miss the opportunity to gloat about my Cherminated fanboy status, mate, and get it right up, JD. So I'm here in my sick bed for this occasion.
And JD joining us for the second time this season, mate. How are you?
I'm good. Aye. Had to come and face it up, didn't I? So, aye, I'm here.
And so is everybody in the comments. It's nice to see them here. And well, Ross, where else to start? But Sunday rather, and what a game it was, to be fair. Although, no, for the first time this season, I think we started well in games, but then we lost the first goal. And would you put that down to, mate? Because I thought that was an interesting thing in terms of Fernandes coming out with the ball, but Raskin had his back turned. When you're playing that sort of 4-2-2 formation, should Raskin be as deep as he is in that place? And did that sort of... You know, you've said on here weeks before that the lack of positional discipline he's got at times. Is him being too close to the centre half's part of what causes that problem?
So I think yesterday with a change of formation, Raskin was being asked to drop deep into there, right? To let the two wing-backs get up the park. Where I struggle with it is Raskin's use of the ball. I don't think Raskin's the guy you want to be taking it off your centre halves. I think you want him further up the park. But in the absence of Conor Barron, that's who you're going to have. On the goal, I think Fernandes holds on to it a bit too long, which means Raskin then gets sick of waiting and kind of goes to move into a different position. But Raskin turning his back on the ball didn't he look good? For me, it's just one of the mix-ups, Davie. It was back to Russell Martin-esque, wasn't it? Nobody really knew what was happening. But as I say, I've been quite critical of Raskin's positioning. But yesterday, I watched you'll be surprised to know, I watched Joshua Barry and Blair Malloy's breakdown last night on the Rangers Review. And they kind of showed you their interpretation of that 4-2-2-2, and it will be Raskin dropping in, similar to what we spoke about before, Davie, with the kind of Gerrard formation where Ryan Jack dropped in to make it a 3 to allow Barisic and Tavernier to go up the park. But I don't think Raskin's use of the ball makes him the ideal person to be dropping in and taking it off your sweeper.
JD, what did you make of the formation as a whole? Obviously, just playing two central midfielders. At times, I thought there was gaps in terms of between Raskin and Chikwani. Although looking at Chikwani, you wouldn't really think that he was struggling with that. He really bossed the centre in midfield, and it's a long time since we've seen somebody be that sort of all-encompassing midfielder that we've been crying out for.
It was outstanding. He was brilliant. See the thing going back to like the start, like it was just one of the things. I wasn't too overly keen when I just the way football went. That you just like that other striker to be a wee bit more deeper so you can. But I was a bit like two centre mids, but other than a couple of wee things like that, and I know it costs a goal, right, which is catastrophic. Although it wasn't at the end up because actually 4-2 almost flatters them. I know they came back in it twice and fair play to them, but the midfield was actually all right. Raskin's. I mean, it's mad to sit here and think we'd say you would maybe rather have Conor Barron playing in there over Raskin when Raskin's likely going to be one of the biggest, if the World Cup, probably going to be one of our biggest sellable assets and probably going to move on for Bassey money, if not more, if he's a good World Cup. So it's mad to sit and think, well, that's more of a Barron role, which is probably likely going to be next season anyway. But for Chikwane though, outstanding. He's just a beast, isn't he? He's not even a man possessed, because he's so assured and composed and everything he does. So he's not even running about, flying into tackles. He's just does the job of two men. Well, he done the job of two men. So he's another what a buy that's going to be for us.
No, absolutely. And Ross, see if we talk about that in itself, that we said last week that we thought the best blend would be Chikwane and Diomande if you were playing two. I think Raskin started the game pretty sluggishly, especially in the first half. His range of passing, as you quite rightly say, was piss poor by his standards, let's be brutally honest. As the game grew on, though, he became more combative and got more involved. I don't know if that's because Hearts started to tire and then the ascendancy was with us, especially with the third goal. But do you think if that is Danny Rule's preferred formation going forward, that is the two that starts for you? Or do you think there's scope to move it about? Is Raskin the one that potentially drops out to maybe see Diomande get his shot in there? Or, you know, I'm interested to your thoughts, because the point I want to make here is I'm not so sure you can play that way against Celtic, and I don't know if you agree.
Mate, I think you can play that way against Celtic. The worry for me is I still think if you've got a centre mid who you're wanting to take the ball in tight spaces, draw in a press, and then play a decent pass forward, I still think that's Diomande. I don't think Raskin's best suited to playing in that position. I don't think, based on current form, he deserves to start against Diomande. We had that conversation last week. But against Celtic, Diamande's a red card waiting to happen, because he gets booked so early, and for me, no, always for the same type of tackles as a Callum McGregor or an Engels gets away with. I feel as if in the Old Firm game, it's easy for a ref to give Diomande a booking early doors and you can book him at the game. The way the formation went yesterday, you essentially played, it was gone for 4-2-2-2 to kind of 3-1-4-2, wasn't it? It was gone weird ways. If you're looking for an actual tactical breakdown for two people know what they're talking, I would urge you to watch the Rangers review last night with Blair and John.
There's a restraining order.
They know what they're talking about, but they had still images showing you how we were building up play and how we were defending and stuff. A lot more comprehensive than us three clowns will ever give you, do you know what I mean? But definitely not as handsome a panel as this, but more knowledge, 100%.
JD, see the point, obviously, as well, with playing two up. Now, you think back to the podcast glory days when yous were back on the rabble, and it's always been a thing that folk in the comments have spoke about, that we've all spoke about down the pub with our mates or in the group chats or at the games itself. Well, the manager went and put two up front, and I think if you watch Steve Clark, know that I'm going to ever, commend Steve Clark, but he made an interesting point that I think is worth discussing. Did Rangers playing two up front almost occupy Hearts' two centre-halves, and it meant that they couldn't dominate? One goes and then one's a spare man. The two of them were occupied the full game. And is that sort of maybe a trick that we have up our sleeve that no other team in the league will have now in the run-in?
I think it will. I think it will be with given they like say it's Cherminated and Nadiri, because I would say they're pretty similar, if you know what I mean. Like there's not one of them it's no a big guy and a wee guy, or one who's made a number 10 like a Mikey Moore perhaps, which we all probably thought was going to happen. So, but I think football's changing. That's the thing, Davie, and that's why by the way Stevie Clark might get the Celtic job and go 4-4-2, and next season that's what they might play. So, but I think football's changing, and I think there's going to be more teams going with 4-4-2 going forward. But maybe we have got the step up on that now, because we've done it. And whether this is going to be Role's favoured formation going forward, I just can't see. And I know he said that he's got. I just can't see him saying, this is me and this is how I'm going to play. I think he's going to be a case of, know that I'm trying to find the right way, but hopefully maybe can I change it and mould it to whatever team we're playing against. Or, because let's be honest, right, someone said that a minute ago, it was like a statement result. By the way, I thought it was a statement performance. A couple of wee nervy moments and there's a couple of wee bits and bobs, but for me, overall, it was probably one of the best performances we've seen, because I know Hart, they scored, it's dead saying this, right? They scored twice against us and they took the lead against us twice, but overall, for me, it was probably the most pleasing overall performance. Even thought like Big Nadiri, he doesn't get a goal, kind of causes the first one, I suppose, didn't he? But his movement for a big boy is outstanding. Some of his runs is taking folk away, and like he's saying, you're taking away the two centre halves, so it definitely worked well. That's what we're going to do going forward against everybody. I don't know, but you can't say it didn't work on Sunday, so we might see it for the next few games. It's going to be the old Celtic game, though. Like, what do you do with that? Like, we give them a doing, no playing that way. Do you go back and maybe be a wee bit more conservative and go one up top and play with a more traditional 10? You can't take Cherminated out, right? Whether I like him or no, you can't after scoring a hat-trick. I know there's a couple of games to go, or one more game to go. And Nadiri, for me, just gives you a totally different thing that we've not had up there, as in that movement. The only thing I would say is, I don't even believe I'm saying this, right? Because Cherminated scored a hat-trick, but I would like to see Nadiri just up there, his cell, in that box, and just seeing if we can get more balls out wide, flashes across the box, how many goals he would score. But I'm saying that after the back of fucking Cherminated scoring a hat-trick, so it's actually it's a moot point. But I think there's more to come. And going back to even saying like, I think we've got a strong squad now. I know Raskin probably, of everybody, hasn't been the one who's on form, and it's actually quite obvious when you watch it. But I don't lack confidence when he's playing. So if he plays, or Diamandi's probably been my best centre mid since the Celtic game the last time. So it seems to be him that drops out, which is a kind of unfortunate, because again, when he comes on, he's brilliant. So I can see a bit of rotation going on, and I'm no bored that our bench is going to start to look more stronger, getting this running, which is going to be massive and vital, because I think a wee bit of rotation, I'm not talking about changing 5-6 every game like we've done there, but a few wee changes, and it shouldn't really massively impact the performances. I think it's going to be massive for us. Whereas I think other teams, probably Motherwell aside, they're trying to find an 11 still. Whereas I think we've got a good 13, 14. Maybe you could hang your hat on just now. It's just come perfect timing for us. We're out them all. We're starting to find a real bit of form. I know they're all still winning ball Hearts at the weekend, but I've known that's a good feeling after Sunday.
Ross, JD makes a great point there about the bench and how strong it looked and the options that we have available. And he also mentioned Motherwell. So with Sunday, the manager learning perhaps from being too pragmatic against Motherwell when they went down to 10, because, we really came out the traps when we lost the goal. We went and got a goal back quickly on both occasions. And probably the formation and the personnel that he had on the pitch allowed it to do it. He also kept stuff in reserve, that we're going to talk about in the second half, which clearly impacted the game for us in a positive fashion. So do you think having the assets that JD alludes to on the bench has probably made Rule sort of take stock and think, do you know what, this is a league to be won now rather than playing it too cautiously?
Against Motherwell, he shit his pants, mate. Don't care what way you try and dress it up. The team he picked...
Like you at work the other day?
Like me at work yesterday, mate. I think. Yes, exactly like that. But against Motherwell, he never picked the right team. He said he took the two games together. I don't care, mate. When we were 1-0 up, and when Motherwell were going to need to start throwing the kitchen sink at us, getting into the last 20 minutes, rather than going and saying, well, we fancy ourselves to go and score more when you start leaving space, we went back and tried to defend it. And then I mean, you were texting with 10 minutes to go or whatever, they're down to 10 men, and he wants to start defending the box, and he takes Cherminated off from Miovski, who's your only guy that's going to take you up the park and take the pressure off. So the Motherwell game, he had a nuke, didn't he? He had an absolute stinker But he's managed to recover the Hearts game, and again, it's one of the ones that you just hope he's learned for that, and that the best form of defence is attack when you've got the better players and the better team and the better coach. For me, the Motherwell game, we got to 25 minutes to go. He goes to a back five, and then by the time they go down to 10 men, he shat himself to then flip back and go for the game. So against Hearts, he went for it. Late on, there only looked like one team was going to score, and I firmly believe that there's a title there to be won, not to be. But in order to go and do that, you need to go and win games. What I would point to with the Motherwell game is yesterday or Sunday, you're watching the Celtic result, and when they go to two each with 10, 15 minutes to go, you know they're going to score. Yeah. You just know it because they're a team who have found a way to win. Whereas against Motherwell, we're playing them 10 men. They score in 86 minutes, was it? And there was 5 or 6 minutes added on. And I don't even think we had a shot after it. Never mind a decent chance. And that's where I worry about us mentality-wise. But against Hearts, going down a goal twice and coming back shows that maybe we are underrating them a wee bit.
See, no go back about the Motherwell game, right? But I'm going to anyway. I think in hindsight's a great thing, right? But see what the way we played against Hearts with 2 up top. See if they'd maybe have just went with that against Motherwell, because what Motherwell want, they want you to come and get us and we'll pass it out ease. But I don't think that if you'd Cherminated and Davie up on Welsh and McGinn, they would have been able to get out as easy. And that's probably hindsight with maybe I thought, see if he actually went for it. I think he was trying to, you're saying he shot it. I think he was trying to be a bit cute, perhaps. And maybe he did shite it, but I thought he would maybe try to not overcoach, but just overthinking it all. And just, rather than just going, all right, we're there down to 10 men, just actually go for it. But he's overthought it and went the opposite way. But yesterday, for me, when it got to the 3-2, and I mean, just at 3-2, it's MD's game still. The Hearts could have scored a third, but actually, when you watch the game, and there was only one team going to score a fourth, let's be honest about it. So perhaps we should have adopted that approach to the second half of that Motherwell, or the last quarter of that Motherwell game, and it would have seen us out of the line. But listen, we said that before we came on here. There's a few more twists and turns in it. Like, it's hard when you see that, because that's a 10-man losing a goal. That should have been another 2 points, but by the way, there's more of that to come. We're just going to need to buckle up. It's just whether it's going to be in our favour or not.
JD, I want to come to you with this point, because me and Ross have spoke about it at length this season, and I just want your opinion on it, and we can obviously debate it back and forth. But, once it was 1 each, they went 2-1 in front. And I just want to see if you think anybody's culpable in that. Now, it's a good header for Braga, very Harry Kane-esque in the way that he rises and takes it. I'm not saying he's of the same quality or anything like that, but in terms of an SPFL striker, the sort of leap that he had on and how he got that header across. But is there any blame, firstly, on the centre half, the goalkeeper at all? Now, I don't really think in terms of our main sort of protagonist here, it's John Souttar that we're looking at, because I think he's wrong side for one, and he doesn't really sort of challenge. And this is the thing about John Souttar. In the Motherwell game, he was almost outstanding at times. Then he makes that mistake that costs you a goal. How many times does John Souttar does this? And does that mean that he's no the long-term answer because of that? Because it just seems to be a regular occurrence.
By the way, I've spoken years, and I am a big John Souttar fan. But what I would say, Braga pins him, so because he's known the right side, he's not going to get. So he's done for early doors because Braga pins him, so he's done. But Butland is glued to the flare. But I think it's one of the ones where he goes like that, and before he sets himself, it's by him. You see keepers getting stuck in the mud all the time with things like that, but I don't know. I think I wouldn't say it's 50-50. I thought Souttar should have done a lot better, albeit I think Braga's done amazing there. Again, honestly, if we play that game another 10 times, I don't think Hearts scored their 2 goals. It's 2 freak goals. By the way, their second man's a belter, right? But if you do that another 5 or 6 times, the keeper catches it, it goes by the post, Suter wins the header, so it's just one of the ones, and we were lucky that we were on par with it. But for me, I think I would say it's that, and I love John Suter, see, in games, and a lot it doesn't really get spoke about, his block, the amount of shots that guy blocks. We don't have another player who will put their body on the line, and I think you would miss that, by the way. But, and I don't believe I'm going to say this, he's a bit of a bomb scare, but Jigger has done well since he's came back for the AFCON. He's done well, and for me, although his distribution that sometimes is dodgy, his recovery pace is brilliant, and I don't think he's really put a foot wrong. Although, if you had to ask me, I'd still say Suter and Fernandes, and we're not going to buy Jig anyway, but I wouldn't be fussed if we shoot John Suter's hand and say there's no contract next season for you. I don't think that'll happen. I think he will get a contract, but is he going to be a starter regular next year? I would love to. I think we could upgrade on him.
It's an interesting point you make. Now, with Livingston coming up on Sunday, Ross, does Jigger come back in? Because John Suter's durability isn't good. I don't expect him or Dujon Sterling to play with Celtic the week before, so I'm expecting Tav to come back in and possibly Jigger. The only thing that I would say that might contradict that is, you see, I know Davie Martindale's the sporting director. He's brought back Joel Newbley. He's probably going to bring back Sanchez, Broto and David Fernandes before Sunday, because that seems to be the way Livingston's doing things this season. But do you think Jigger deserves to come back in for the weekend, mate? And would you play him before Soapy, especially on plastic?
The plastic makes a difference. See on the goal at the weekend, just briefly, Braga's done that so many times this season. Oh. See, for a wee guy, his body shape and the way he positions himself and just backs in and finds out where the defender is and makes it. He actually gets into a position that Suter can't, or he's climbing over the top of him. You're giving away a penalty. He's very intelligent, Braga, with his movement and the way he receives the ball. And he scored a few headers this season. He's a very wily wee striker. But on Suter, Giga, Fernandes, I think they're all muchness. But what I would say is, I think Fernandes plays better alongside Suter than he does alongside Giga. And my main priority for the rest of this season is to get Fernandes up to speed with Scottish football, and to nurture him into the type of talent he looks as if he could be. And I think your best chance of that is alongside John Suter, who's got that bit more leadership, bit more vocal, understands the players, understands the teams you're coming up against. I think Suter gives you that to help Fernandes a bit more than what Giga does. Also, when Giga plays, everybody seems to move a wee bit more. The defence kind of moves a bit to allow, so Suter moves onto the left if he's playing alongside him. Fernandes plays on the left with Suter, but it's a totally different role he's been asked today with Giga, because Suter will move across. Suter actually, for us, is really effective when it comes to being composed, taking a touch, and then we've spoke about it before, Davie, that wee outside of the fit just knocks it by the striker and presses into space. He's a big way in which we use to break a press and get overloads in the middle of the park.
Oh, that's an interesting point. And just on Craig Clark's point in the comments, JD, were you impressed with the boy Graham for Dundee when we played them a couple of weeks back? I know there's sort of online speculation in regards to that. I think it was a Sun newspaper the day. Is he that next sort of Scottish signing that we'll look to add to enhance the quota?
I've not seen a lot of the boy. I've seen a few bits and bobs, some family or Dundee fan, but I've not seen a lot of him. I thought he was all right against us, but there's a lot of noise about him. And what I would say about that is, if there's any Scottish boys where there's a bit of noise about them, I think we've got to be in for them. No, not all of them, but the ones that are obviously standing out, we've got to be in for them. And like, if you did lose a Suter at the end of the season, Jigger goes back, that it feels like an easy one to bring in it, rather than taking, because you know that they can play in the league, rather than taking a risk and bringing in. I don't know. You could spend 10 million on Jigga and then look what we would have got. This first half of the season been a bit of a disaster. Although we're now saying he could maybe come in and do a bit of a job, but so any Scottish boy that's standing out with any other team in the league, you've got to be thinking about it. But does it ever come to fruition with us, really? Because look how long it's took Barron to be that person. Lyle Cameron's come in, he's been shipped out. We don't seem to bring them in for them to actually come in and be trusted, perhaps. So it might not be something that Rowe's interested in, to be honest.
And hello to Gallant in the comments. It's nice to see him here. What I was going to say, JD, was Sunday, the penalty incident with Scott Olsen when he got booked by Don Robertson. What was your take on it? Now, in the first half on Twitter or X, I was quite scathing of Scott Olsen and his performance. I thought his first touch was really poor for a man of his alleged quality. But then I've listened to a couple of podcasts since, and they're all saying, no, he had a good game. But at half-time, I was contemplating taking the boy off. If I had been manager, I definitely would have done it. But then he does play a hand in the equaliser at 2-2. He starts the move for our own box. But getting back to my original point, was it a penalty? Was it a yellow card, though?
When I first seen it, I was screaming for it. I thought it was a penalty. When I seen it the second time, by the way, there's contact. He knows what he's doing. He leaves the leg dangling for the contact to happen. So I don't think it was a penalty. And I don't think it was a yellow card, though, because there was contact, but it was a harsh one. But I can understand why he got the booking for it. He's like, I think Scove Olsen's, I don't know, he's going to take a wee bit longer than some of the others that have come in to get used to Scottish football. There's a big ask on him. Again, there's a heavy weight on him because we're expecting him to come in and be the guy that played with Bruges, scoring 20-odd goals. That's what we're expecting, and that has not happened. What I like about him in the first half, I seen your comment about it. He wasn't. I didn't think he played that well, but I thought he did come into the game. What I like about him is he's got a bit of pace about him. But the only thing I think with boys that play with the left footers on the right, you know what he's going to do. You know he's going to be cutting inside now. Granted, he doesn't cut inside when we score a goal, right? So short, right? But I think it's all a bit predictable with him just now. And I think he might need another couple of goals or another couple of moments just for it all to. But perhaps that's what the next 11 games are going to be all about. So I'm a bit stuck with him now. I don't think people want to hear that things that you say, David. People don't want to hear that. Oh, no, he's been perfect. It's all right, by the way. This is what Big saying, and it's no been. You're wanting to come in and score 2 or 3 goals, but now 6 or 7 assists. This has not happened today. It's not as easy as that, but that's what probably people what you're expecting. Some people just don't like to hear, and they'll defend it to the hill. They'll die in that hill. No, he's been brilliant. It's all right to say he's not been. I don't think he's been brilliant at all. I think there's definitely a player in there. He's got pace, but he just doesn't show it enough for me. But I thought he came on to a good game in the second half. Aye.
Ross, what's your take on him? The cross, obviously, where he's alleged rang fit is pinpoint accuracy for us to go 3-2 in front. Bullet header for Cherminated, and we will come to Cherminated. But in terms of his output, now, is he somebody that you just need to keep in the team until he gets up to his level? Because whilst he's no there now, he is showing signs of the obvious quality he's got with the wee impacts he's made. He's had a couple of goal involvements, goals himself, assists. Do we just keep that brewing now until he's up to full speed?
I think we've got to, Davie. I had to put out an apology last night because I genuinely would have sent him back during the game. I'd have subbed him off because I thought he took a dive and they went up the other end of the park and scored. But when you see it back, it's hip to hip. The boy cuts right across him and hits him at the top of the thigh towards his hip. It's never a booking for diving. Is it a penalty? By the way, you've seen them given because he's in a similar position. He's getting into a similar position to where Raskin was for Cherminated in the Old Firm game. So he's getting in there where he can cut back and make a difference. I think any contact there, and there was a similar one in the Celtic game that I thought was also a penalty, whereby somebody's just heading to the byline and gets clipped. on his overall play, you can tell he's a player. Some of his touches, the way he receives the ball, some of his movement, his runs. But he's another boy who has been plucked for sitting on the bench for most of the season. So I think that we need to remember that, because, by the way, it's similar to Cherminated. Cherminated had hardly kicked a ball in 2 years. Scott Wilson's been the same. They played 10 games off the bench or something this season, minimal minutes. So we're expecting somebody, because there's a buy clause of 10 million for next season, to come in and be like Ronaldo. Do you know what I mean? Step overs and flicks and tricks and pinging them in for 40 yards. But the truth of the matter is, it's going to take him a few weeks to get up to speed. And in that position, we play a totally different way for the club he's came for. And you play in a totally different league where you maybe don't get the time or the space. So again, it's all that culmination. January's so hard to buy a player in January and for them to hit the ground running. But for me, he's impressed. He's definitely starting to find his way into games. And I think that now, with the week between Hearts and Livy, and then the week between Livy and Celtic, by the time you get to the Old Firm game, you're hoping that he's more tactically astute with what we're asking from him. He'll have had another 2 games in the legs, and I think that the Old Firm will be when he'll really announce you'll really see it with him. He'll really announce that that's him here as a Rangers player.
I think it's a, by the way, sorry, Davie, a cracking point there, Ross, by the way, because look at Chukwani, Nadiri, and Romans. They've all been playing football. They're all ready to go. And look at, I mean, that's 3 buys in January who have done really, really well. And if you think about Cherminated, he never played in Vernier 2 years, how long it took him to get up to speed and still getting there. Scott Wilson's not played football. So maybe, like you've said, you're talking another couple of weeks, it could be time for him to really step up. So fingers crossed.
And that's what, at the end of the day, that's what he's been brought here for. He's been brought here to win you the league, and he's here to try and win himself. As Garant says, he came here in the first interview and he was talking about, no, I'm here and I want to be here next season. He was already talking. So he's been brought here to help you win the league. And when you look at by the time the split comes and you're going to be got to Tynecastle, you're going to be got to Parkhead, there's every chance you're going to go to Fir Park or Fir Park or Hibs again, because of the way the fixtures. You're looking at maybe having to go to Fir Park 3 times this season, which is a shambles when you consider the form they're in. But by that time, the last 5 games, that boy could be pivotal to everything that you're hoping to achieve by the end of the season.
Now, see, Ross, I want to stick with you because obviously Cherminated by Rangers striker standards took a lot of flack for the Motherwell performance that we touched on earlier, and the chance that he missed on Wednesday seems almost incredible considering the 3 finishes that he had on Sunday. So you have been quite vocal for the first time that you saw him this season, consistently stuck by him. Other podcasters in the sort of Rangers ether have sort of swayed to and fro. I think that largely the jury remains out, but you have always been consistent on this. How would you sum up Cherminated's performance on Sunday? How would you sum up what he means for our team? Is he the number 1 striker, or is it actually the fact that he's playing in a 2 might free him up and Nadiri does all the donkey work so that he doesn't worry about running in that and can just concentrate on receiving the ball and then doing damage as he can?
Well, we've spoke, mate. What impressed me for day dot is, again, back to that, the way he receives the ball, the way he shapes his body to take it in, the physicality, the pace. But you look at his first goal at the weekend, as I said before we came on, he works back, nicks the ball in our half. The ball gets played into, was it Fernandez, who then plays it forward to Nadiri. See, when Cherminated was up front on his own, that ball's getting played up and it's not getting played into Nadiri because there's nobody else up there. And Nadiri's then big enough, physically enough to hold it in and let Cherminated get forward. And that's what we've been saying on this podcast since day dot, Davie, is that he's got an ability, but you can't be asking him to chase down and lead your press, and Jack Butland's kicking the ball out on the wing, expecting him to go out and hold the ball about there, but then also ask him to be in the box. There's got to be somebody else that he can link with, and I think Nadiri will be that person. The one against Motherwell, he takes it too early, right? Puts it right at the goalie. It's a bad miss. I watched the game against Dundee last season where Dessers had 11 of them in the one game, then scored the winner at the end, and everybody thought he was great. So he's 21. He's got to be inconsistent. He's not played. I heard a stat on maybe the review yesterday morning that he's the 4th highest goal scorer on the league per minutes played, behind the boy for Kilmarnock, Negrin, and somebody else. But so by minutes played, he's not played a lot. He's coming back from injury. Yesterday, he worked tirelessly for the team. I think in the aftermatch, you've seen how much the players appreciate what he's doing. Danny Rule says he hopes that people start putting a bit of respect on him because he's working so hard for the team. And I think if you can get somebody for him to link with that's on the same level as him, then I think he'll guarantee you goals, mate. Honestly, I know that it's controversial to say, but as you say, it is a hill I've been willing to die on since the first 5 minutes I've seen him, that he will be a really good striker for Rangers. And by the way, you look at the games where he's done it is the big games against tough physical opponents where we're maybe underdogs, and he's went and scored 2 at Marquee, which he more or less crafted for himself. The header yesterday is an absolute joke. How he's run, timing his run, attacking the front post. The third goal is the same as your one at Motherwell. He's managed to get it out his feet, but this time he's got a wee bit of composure. And by the way, Danny Rule through the week, for me, when he was asked about the Motherwell miss in his pre-match and stuff, built Cherminated up, good man management, telling everybody how he's done well and blah blah blah, and how he's got faith in him and he'll score the next one. And to a player, that's a lot. Again, I just hope that if he now doesn't go and score against Livingston, that the fans are no back on his case again. Let's get behind the boy. He's already done it against Celtic, so let's get behind him. A 21-year-old kid who's not played much football, who's still cutting his teeth in the game, and he's come up and scored big, massive goals for us already this season. And after the split, I'd like to think he'll score more massive goals for us, honestly.
Well, there's a lot of chat that he might just be that big game player. Well, there's not going to be many more bigger games than every week now. Once you, and even more so when you get to that split, if he's somebody who's going to step up in the big moments, then it's ideal. By the way, that could be the time for him to step up. And like you're saying about Scott Olsen, this could be the time where somebody. By the way, it could be dead easy for Danny Rowe to go at that after a couple of weeks. Thelwell's been sacked. Martin's been sacked. That's his player. That's never worth £8 million. I'm not playing him, but he's stuck with him. And like you said, cracking man management after the Motherwell game. And wee things like that, the player your boss speaks highly of you. You work your ass off for them. That's exactly what's happened with Cherminated against Hearts. He's been like, oh, thanks for that. Boom, there's a hat trick.
Listen, the Cherminated supporters bus has only got it's only a 7-seater now, and 6 of them are empty. If any of you want to jump in and join us, by the end of the season we'll have a double decker in George Square.
No, yeah, but maybe.
The interesting thing about it all is, I think, for all the stat shaggers or whatever, that his expected goals this season is 5 and he scored 7. But what does that say, though? I don't think it says that he's no been near the box enough.
Aye.
So playing 2 up front might be the adjustment that gets him higher up the pitch, because, as you say, he's been trying to run the channels, come deep for the ball, be the target man for the Butland ping. If a Nadiri allows him to be closer to the opposition's box and that gets us goals, it's maybe something that maybe will buy him a bit more time with the fans. Would you think on that, Ross?
Mate, anything to buy him time with the fans, because I think we need to support him. Like, I know Gallant is a big portion of our fan base. In the comments, I see them coming down. The people still think he's a young striker. The same people that are getting on at Cherminated are the ones that are telling you Gassama's going to be inconsistent because he's only a young winger and blah, blah, blah. Cherminate's 3 years younger than Nadiri. Yeah? Is Nadiri 24? Cherminate's 21?
No, Nadiri's only 22, I think, yeah.
Is he?
Aye.
I thought he was 24. But he's younger than the likes of Nadiri, and Nadiri's been playing football. What I like about that is it gives you, as I said before the match, that gives you the ability for one of them to drop in and the two of them can play right up, or you can change shape and go your 4-2-3-1 and stick one of them half aside. Because Cherminate's first goal, Nadiri's actually pulled out onto the right. He's playing where Scott Olsen would, which allows Scott Olsen to come back in and take up a marker. So, mate, now you're at one game a week. Play your best team. For me, that looks like our best team is with they two up top.
100%.
JD, while we're talking about new signings, now we had a wee thing on X where after I think 4 touches of the boy, I went early on Twitter and you came for me right away. I said, well, this boy looks like a player. He's got to go for big money. Having seen him done a full 90 now, mate, are you on the boat as well?
Aye, 100%. Brilliant. He's got just the perfect attributes for Scottish football. He's fearless. He's got a final ball and all. Like once our players get set the way he plays, I'm hoping to see us score. I mean, that's 5-8-4. I'm hoping to see us score more goals. People jump on that as if it's like something bad against Magoma, right? Listen, Magoma's done well. He's a young boy and all, learning his craft. But when you bring in a guy like that, he's a different level. Has he really been tested defensively? Cut a balls at the back post like that? No, not really. But that's going to come. That part, Celtic game's going to come. So he's going to get tested at one point. So, but I'm not going to go in too hard on it. I nearly said something there like far too much, but like
just
Davie Robertson vibes for me.
Carlos.
Davie Robertson vibes for me, which is a big thing for me to say.
And whilst we're just on that, I'm pretty sure Davie Robertson isn't in the Rangers Hall of Fame. I talk about this on Twitter quite regularly. Davie Robertson won a league title every year he was here at Rangers, and when they won it back was the year he left. I think Davie Robertson is underrated in terms of a Rangers player in history. This man has to be in the Hall of Fame. So if anybody for the club is watching this podcast at any point, please get Davie Robertson in the Rangers Hall of Fame because he deserves to be there.
100%.
But see, when we talk about Romans, JD, right, what I found interesting was, and I'm sure Gallon, I caught him saying it in the comments that it looks hard and all that. See that wee bit of the goal when he's getting brought down and he turns around and he gives it back to the boy, right? We have not had enough bad bastards in our team in recent years. He looks like he could have that wee bit of nastiness. And I know Ross talked about Diamande maybe Disney use his aggression in the right way. Right. He gets wound up. This boy looks like he channels his aggression in the right manner, eh?
And that's the way to do it. By the way, see on that, that's a penalty, by the way. The guy, he's all air.
Oh, it's a stone waller, right? And it's a red card. It's a red card.
He's all over him, but
who needs penalties when you've got the boy air Cherminated, but
no. But Roman, it looks like he's got a bit of everything. So I want to see him like at the cold face being tested. No, we don't want to see him being tested, right? Because we want to just win every game by 4 or 5 goals, right? But I would just love to see somebody step up to him, try to take him on to see what he's got going back away. But he looks like he looks hard as nails, doesn't he? Going forward, where it's at with him though. That's going forward. We link up play with whether it's Ant-Man or Moore. He's just cutbacks. And his crossing's very good as well. Very good getting the ball in the box and all. So some signing.
You made an interesting point, JD, about the Celtic game coming up. And see if you watch the way that they've been playing recently, right? That Tenekte is going to play on the left-hand side going forward. So what I think they'll do is, I think they'll sit with Maida on that boy because he's got an engine on him. They'll put Maida to the right-hand side to follow this boy up and down, right? But see, for me, that's a bonus because see if he's following our player, that tells me that we have got some player here. Ross, do you go along with that?
Mate, if they're going to have Maida trying to defend against an intelligent football player, mate, then the other side will be a good battle, mate. The boy Taneke, for all I've only seen him for 45 minutes at the game at the weekend, that's the first I've noticed him. He looks as if he's got a decent bag of tricks. I'd be interested to see how Sterling fares up against him. I wouldn't fancy putting Tavernier against him, put it that way. The pace.
Well, see on that point, just before you go into it further, is the fact that Dujon Sterling's comfortable on both sides, having played left back, the right reason why he should play? Because that boy's going to come inside all the time. Sterling should be expecting that and anticipating that. We all know James Tavernier can't defend in the inside. That's where he gets caught out all the time. So Sterling has to be wrapped in cotton wool on Sunday so that he's kept for that game next Sunday, yeah?
Aye, I wouldn't risk any of your injury-prone players against Livingston. We should have enough to beat them, mate. On Romans, I like the way, now yous boys will not be able to, yous have no experienced this for 10, 12 years anyway, but see when he gets up the park and he just flicks the hair off his eyes and he looks up and sees what's going on in the box, just kind of flicks the hair so that he can see. No, mate, he lifts the head up, which is something that we've not had for that side since Barisic. Somebody who is willing to look up and see whether it's a floated ball into the back post or whether it's a cutback. He looks up early, which for me, when you've got that many players in the box, you don't want it shouldn't be a hit and hope. You should be targeting our players, especially when you've got a couple of 6-footers, big ugly strikers up there. Looks really good. And as I said last week to you, Davie, it's not a case of Magoma's not our player, right? We don't owe Magoma anything. We've gave him a half season of football where he's been involved, played well, but when you bring in your own player and he hits the ground running the way this boy has and he offers you that wee bit extra, then there's no room for sentiment for me. You play your best team, especially it's different. Mikey Moore, we don't have anybody to play in there at that level. So you're going to play Mikey Moore, and as I said last week as well, you get your money's worth out of that loan fee while you've got that wee guy because he is magic. But on the Magoma errands, they're no surplus to requirements because you need somebody there as a backup. But Roman starts for me every game going forward.
JD, there's a couple of players I want to talk about, and Paul makes this point, and this is going to be, I think that was the substitution against Motherwell that lost us the 3 points, bringing Asgard on. I think you see when he's on the pitch, he's too casual, slows the game down. Now, I also believe as well what cost us the game was the fact that he started Gassama and played him on the wrong side. I think Gassama looks all the impact player that we need when there's half an hour to 25 minutes to go in a game. That's when you bring him on because look at the difference that he can make running when he's got a fresh set of legs. So is Asgard, does he drop out the team for you between now and the end of the season? And is Gassama an impact player, mate?
100%. I just don't think Asgard, he's technically good and stuff like that. They keep saying that, there's definitely a player in there, he's got a good profile. Maybe he's just not suited to Scottish football. Really, I don't think he's that good. I don't think he is that. See, if he was that good, he wouldn't have played with Wigan and Luton and then come up here and he scored a few goals, 1 or 2 assists, but no, for me, I don't think, exactly what Gallant's saying, he has the handbrake. We don't need that anymore. We're going for a title. We're actually sitting here saying we're going for a title. I want us to win the league this year. So I don't think Asgard can play. And I think the way that Nadiri's came in playing up there with Cherminated, by the way, Ross, was it you and I that were speaking about it, like, or who someone else was? Actually, even sometimes when I've seen Miofsky play with 10, 15 minutes with somebody up front, playing deeper, buzzing about, gives you more than what Asgard will give you. So I wouldn't be playing. I don't think Asgard plays for me. I wouldn't even be bringing him off the bench because it totally changes everything good that we do when he plays. It's unfortunate for the guy, but I'd be looking to move him on. I don't really want to see him minutes. it's the Livy one's is a tough one because probably Asgard could play in an 11 that should be able to beat Livingston to maybe make sure nobody gets injured for the Celtic game. Like, I'm even sitting here thinking, Romans, could you get away with playing Magoma against Livy? You could. Because the last thing we want is one of these Romans, Chukwani, MD like that to get an injury, miss Celtic, Hearts, the split. Nothing like that. We can't afford that. And does Danny Rule then go into Sunday and make a couple of changes, maybe thinking like that, which after the Motherwell game, I'm not sure he will. Like Ross is saying, maybe it's time to just go week in, week now, strongest 11, and that's just fit if somebody gets injured.
Is the strongest 11 the 11 that started on Sunday, or would you tweak it?
I think after that, I know they scored twice, right? But after that performance, I think it is. I think you could rotate Diomande and Raskin for me, no bother. I mean, if you wanted to be a bit more conservative, would you bring Ant-Man into left and bring Moore in alongside Nadiri or Cherminated just to play a wee bit more deeper, perhaps? But other than that 4-4, I'm calling it 4-4-2, right? 4-2-2-2, whatever. It worked so well against a team who aren't even playing the greatest, but they're getting results. I think you just keep rolling with that, and then the conundrum of the Celtic game comes along. Would they have the boys to do that against Celtic at home? Fuck it, why not?
Our Hearts not a better team than Celtic, but
I think the Old Firm game is a different kettle of fish, though, innit? I'm not saying that.
I don't know, mate.
Celtic are shite, right? Or they've not been playing well, sorry. But playing in an Old Firm game, it's like a cup. It's like the World Cup final, fucking 4 times a year, innit? 5 times a year. So it can elevate a player. So we need to elevate with that. And also, I'm not sure that, I wouldn't say Hearts, I'm not sure. I don't know. Very much too much, I think, actually.
What worries me is, for me, Motherwell are the best footballing team in the league. And we tried to go defensive against them, and it's not our game. So I wouldn't be going defensive against them. I would see what worked against Hearts. For me, that'll work against Celtic and work against Motherwell. I'm sick of us getting into games and looking to sit in against teams. You've went and bought this firepower, and you've went and bought these flair players, and you've went and bought a Romans that can get you up the park. Why would you know play them and see now getting to this stage of the season? It's like an opposite world, because for the last, since we won 55, it's been the other side of the city that have been kicked out of Europe and have not got any midweek distractions and can play their strongest team every week, and they're playing Saturdays, the occasional Sunday, whereas we're trying to juggle a squad. We're trying to keep players fresh. We're playing catch up every Sunday because they've already got points in the board. And mate, I think that we need to get it into our heads that there is no distractions this year. We have got weekend games with recovery time in between, and I don't think we can take our eye off the ball. See the likes of against Livy, you want two Romans playing, you want Scott Wilson playing, because they need minutes ahead of the Celtic game. And see, if you're worried about injuries, then don't get me wrong, I've already said Sterling and Suter for me are chronic injured all the time. You don't risk them on that park, but your players that have got a body that can cope with it, I think you go with your strongest team, because at the end of the day, you touch Harry Wood, you could go into the Old Firm game having rested players against Livingston, and one of them goes on their ankle in the first minute.
I know.
Get the games won now, get the squad integrated, and try and get a bit of consistency in your team selection, so that the wee patterns of play that you're seeing with like your two Romans, your Nadiri and your Cherminated, allow them to blossom as much as they can. Get them on the park as many minutes together as you can, would be my approach.
JD, you made an interesting point on social media at the weekend, or it might have been WhatsApp when we were talking, and it was in regards.
Never made a good point in social media.
But it was in regards to the crowd on Sunday. The fans stuck with the team, supported the team, got behind the team, and as you saw for all the videos that folk took, the one that the boy for the review put up in the Copland is outstanding. But after, you know, the sort of furore around dropping points at Motherwell and everybody went bipolar on the socials, including all us, the turnaround on Sunday in terms of the fans sticking with us despite losing the early goal, that's a sign of how strong Ibrox can be, and we could use it to our advantage in this running before the split and post split.
Aye, for me. That was wild. That's the loudest. I don't know. I think that's the best I've heard them all season easily for years, maybe since a European game. It was outstanding. Actually, was a wee bit disappointed. I know what he's doing, but I was a bit disappointed with Danny Rule. Like, I thought that was an unbelievable atmosphere, and he kind of just glossed over it. Slash was a wee bit like still kind of pointed, because there's a couple of times where Fernandez get the ball, looked back, and the fans were going like, whoa, and he kind of turned back round. And I thought Danny Rule was a bit like, oh yeah, Ibrox was more like Ibrox, but he still had a wee bit of a butt. No, like if you're wanting more for the fans, I don't think you can get any more than what Sunday was, because that was the best maybe folk are saying since Leipzig. So you're not going to, well, fucking 2 Sundays, you're going to get the same again, aren't you? But I was a bit disappointed with Danny Rule's comments on that, but I know what he's meaning. But fans are always going to, like, we were attack, and I said this at the start. I thought Fernandez was probably a little lethargic. He's been out for a couple of games, wasn't he? So I thought he didn't get up to speed with the whole speed of the game. He was the slowest at them all, and I think that probably took the fans a couple. It was even a groan. It was a kind of that amidst the absolute unbelievable noise to get Fernandez right. Shit, I better sort myself out. I'm all right with that. I was a bit surprised at Danny Rowe's comments about it, but the fans, unbelievable, man, unreal.
See that on that is the role of Stevie Smith in that. Should he know sort of say, listen, this is what this is about, and be that sort of education? Now, I know that Stevie Smith's just a wee bit older than Danny Rowe, he's mid-40s or whatever, but he's been there, seen it and done it, and he's got the medals as a player. Surely he's got to give him that sort of education, being the only sort of Scot and Rangers-minded guy on the dugout there, to just sort of say, you know, this might happen, but just run with it and ride with it.
Oh, yeah, the answer to that's aye, but only if Danny Rowe's basically his boss in it. So only if he asks for his counsel on it. If he doesn't, I don't think Stevie Smith's going to chap him and say, "By me, heads up." The fan, I don't think that's ever going to happen unless Danny Rowe initiates that. So I know what you're saying, but I get it, Davie, but I just don't think so.
And Ross, obviously, with Livingston ahead, is the fact that they are struggling against everybody else give them a free hit against us. Obviously, as I said earlier on in the pod, they signed Joel Newbley again yesterday, subject to that famous thing that's called international clearance. But you guarantee he's got to play up front against us on Sunday, and they're just going to go route one, and it's going to be all the hammer throwers. But the interesting thing, I suppose, will be Livingston play with a back three. So we're going to go 2 up against a back three. There could be spaces to exploit, especially when you've got your 2 sort of wide 10s. It could be 4 against 3 at times. If we anything to fear, I know against Motherwell we said that we shouldn't, but plastic surface, does that come into it, the sort of unknown?
There's no excuses now, Davie. No excuses. None. You go and beat what's in front of you, and they'll know for the rest of the season there's no many will come as easy as what should be at the weekend if you go and do a professional job. And just to touch on what you were saying before with the Danny Rule comments, Judy, although I agree with you, I think what he's asking for is just that wee minute, a pause, because they're trying to drag teams out. And what he's saying is sometimes we need to make the extra pass. So see, rather than like that, Fernandez sits on the ball for a wee extra minute to allow somebody else to move, and he turns back. What sometimes is happening is he's turning back so that they trigger a press, whereas further up the park, 2 passes away, somebody's moving into a position. So I think that's what he's getting at. Where that is kind of what you're watching, because as fans, we watch the ball. We don't watch, unless you're Wilfred Nancy, you've not got the tactics board out during the game watching what's going on in real time. And we're watching a lot of the time on TV. So you're only seeing what the TV camera's showing you. I think what he's actually appealing for is for the fans not to grumble if it appears somebody's gone backwards for a split second, because what they're actually trying to do is move the other team about the park in order to open up space and get the overloads.
And I think that's almost a good place to end proceedings tonight. But I just want to say a wee word, because a couple of days ago, there was the passing of Robert Duvall, who was obviously in the Ali McCoy's film A Shot at Glory and directed it and starred in it beside him. Now, if anybody's not seen it, it is on YouTube and it is free, so you can go and view that for nothing. There is one of the awkward scenes in it where Ali McCoy has got a pumping scene. So it's kind of like walking in and seeing your uncle and auntie doing it. It's a wee bit weird. You know what I mean? You don't want to see that. But if you haven't seen it, go and watch it and watch Super Ali act. There's a couple of great one-liners in it. It's a good laugh. But boys, just before we go, we doing the business on Sunday, and with the way that the run-in, goes to before the split, do you think Hearts have got the easiest run, or do you expect us to win the sort of 6 games before the split?
Hearts have got the easier run. I don't think there's much doubt in that, because us and Celtic play each other. Their fixture congestion is horrendous, by the way, and that's something that they're no playing well. The last 3 games have relied on stoppage time goals. Although they're famous for it, I don't think you can hold your hat out on that every week for the rest of the season, that you're going to get the luck and the ball bounces for you, or Kilmarnock don't defend the second goal well, Davie. Hearts have been slightly above their average, right? But Rangers and Celtic have both, through management appointments, been massively below. So I don't expect Hearts. I don't think Hearts are that good that they're going to go 4 wins before the split and then maybe win 4 out of the 5 after it to win the league. I just still don't see it. I think when it comes to Hearts Motherwell, Hearts Hibs, Hearts Rangers, Hearts Celtic after the split, when it comes to the business end of the season, so they'll be looking to get points on the board before the split. For me, we need to win our 5 games before the split as well, just to keep the momentum and the pressure up. And as I say, Stuttgart home, Hibs away, Stuttgart away, Stuttgart home, us away, Stuttgart away, us away, Aberdeen away, something like that. Mental fixture congestion. This is when we need to really motor ahead and hope that fatigue, travel, lack of real quality investment by the other 2 teams, in my opinion, in the January window compared to what we've done. I don't think Celtic or Hearts have done as good a business, and we kind of agreed before that going into the transfer window, possibly the team that done the best transfer window in January were the team that were the favourites to win it. So it's another 5-game spree for now until the split, and we've got to hope that we go and win that next wee mini league, if you like, until we get there, Davie, for me.
I think Sunday needs to take... Sunday's the one, like, I don't want to say this, jinxing it, but Sunday's the one that we're looking at as a 3 points, and let's move on. It's the games all after that for us that are looking a bit tougher. I think Hearts could easily win every game up to the split, bar the last one, which is Motherwell, which is going to be a lot tougher. I think Motherwell are going to be the ones that could decide they're winners of this league. No, if Motherwell win every game, they're going to win with a shout and all. I just can't, I think we've got a wee bit more of buzz. I think Danny Rowe's an intelligent guy. He'll learn a lot for that Motherwell result. He'll have a plan against Motherwell the next time we play them. Sunday I fancy us to get the victory, but after that we need to, just like Ross has said, we need to win the next 5. I think you need to win the next 5.
I was talking to you, Davie, just at the start of, probably in mid-December, when I was talking to a certain person, and they said to me at that point, Motherwell were miles away, and they went, by the way, Motherwell will be up and about the top of the league coming into the season. Played against them, watched them, know a few of the boys. I'm telling you, Motherwell are the dark horses in this league. And to be fair, what are they? 10 points behind Hearts with a game in hand. Could take it to 7. There's, as you say, JD, they are going to have a big say because we need to go there potentially. We need to go to Fir Park again. I think Celtic and Hearts both need to go to Fir Park. So, aye, it's interesting.
Absolutely. And
I don't have the heart for this. I'm struggling.
no, near the JD. It was gone on Sunday really bad.
Roller coaster, wasn't it? Need to stiffen up.
Absolutely, and that is a good place to end proceedings tonight. So, gentlemen, thanks very much for your company. JD, thanks for joining us, mate. Much appreciated. Thanks to everybody in the comments. Please like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends and enemies about us, and we'll see you again next week. It's good night from me, and it's good night from them. Good night.
Audio Jungle.